Welcome to the final module on prayers. I just want to put in here that I had a whole thing done. Mercury was coming out of retrograde that weekend. First, my internet was out all morning, so I thought I'd get it all finished and then I'd just save it and export it. But then, after the internet came back up, the whole thing crashed. I lost the whole module and I had to do it over. So I'm a little bitter. I'm a little upset. It was so pretty. And now I kind of threw it back together to get it done to finish my course. So I do apologize. Prayers are offerings, but there are also something more. It is healing. You may pray to your ancestors, for your ancestors, or even with your ancestors, forming an intimate and meaningful bond. Prayers may feel unfamiliar at first, but they are a simple yet profound way to deepen your connection to mysticism. In many ways, prayers can be indistinguishable from mediumship. How to pray. Perhaps you already know how to pray. Maybe a relative taught you, maybe you went to church, maybe you learned it through communion. Still, I will walk through this for anyone who may be new to prayer or hasn't prayed before. It also may give you a new perspective on prayers. Maybe organized religion kind of turned you away from prayers or made you think that, they're not worth doing. But they do hold power. And in some practices, especially abolition practices, prayers are and spells, they're just interchangeable. So there are power in prayers, even if you are not into organized religions that a lot of people associate with prayers. How to pray. Before you begin, it's important to clear your mind using any methods that work best for you, whether it's grounding, meditation, taking your arms, to get those last minute wiggles out so you can be still, practicing breath work, or anything else that helps you focus your attention. You may also want to meditate briefly before praying, perhaps right when you wake up if you start your day with prayer, or before bedtime if you pray at night. Meditation beforehand can help set the tone and align your thoughts with your intentions. I also have a grounding meditation available on my podcast and in, I think, all of my groups if you're in any of those. Well, you can find my podcast on Spotify. I think it's on Amazon as well. There are mobile apps available that can guide you through prayers if you're seeking extra support, or they can go do guided meditations as well. Alternatively, a simple gesture like dipping your fingers into holy water and making the sign of the cross may be all you need to center yourself. Ultimately, it's about finding what resonates with you personally. When we pray, we might speak aloud, focusing on the words themselves because they capture our attention. For others, the spoken words are simply an external expression of a deeper internal process. The key is to pay attention to your internal state while praying, as this awareness helps us navigate into and out of a trance like connection. I usually ground. If I'm really scattered that morning when I get up, I'll do a grounding meditation before prayer, kind of center myself and really help set the tune to ground yourself in the morning and get centered before you go about your day. Trance. Trance is a state of consciousness that allows us to perceive things beyond normal awareness. This concept may sound intimidating, especially if you've been taught that altered states of consciousness are inherently negative or induced solely by illicit substances. However, if you participated in any of my other classes, such as Reiki, where we practice attunements through meditation, or my past life regression session, where you go back and see your past lives also through meditation, you've likely experienced altered states without any illicit substances. These practices demonstrate that there are many ways to reach a state of expanded perception and have transformative experiences. Culturally, we were taught that being in control is a virtue. So anything that reduces our control over ourselves, our environment, is viewed as negative. A lot of times, this is where we get anxiety from, because we think we have to control everything and we're in control of everything. Sometimes you're not. The biggest thing I've ever learned is sometimes shit just happens and nobody's at fault. It just happens. And that was like an eye-opening thing for me because in my family, if something went wrong, somebody somewhere did it. Somebody did something wrong. So learning that sometimes shit just happens was very helpful for me. So maybe it'll be helpful for someone else taking this course as well. We frequently slip into trance states without even realizing it. For example, repetitive tasks like washing dishes, driving on a familiar highway, or running on a treadmill can induce a trance like state. We've all been there. You go to the same route to work every day, to your parents' house or a friend's house, and you get in the car and you remember leaving the house, you remember starting the car, and all of a sudden you're at your destination and you say, "Oh my God, I don't even remember how I got here." You were in a trance like state. You were still doing automatic pilot, but your brain was working on something else the whole time. For those with ADHD, it may happen when you see a bright light. Sometimes I'll be okay, and then the sun or something will shine a certain way, and I'll look out the window, and I call it get stuck in a stare where you're sitting upright, but your body is just there, and your brain kind of. My sister says it goes on standby. She puts her brain on standby, and it just kind of is quiet. A little endless chatter just gets quiet, and you're just kind of eyes open, but you're in a trance-like state. These moments of mental stillness can be beneficial, as they often provide insights or answers we're seeking. And there's been times where I'll be like, I need to do the dishes, or I sweeping the floor. Sweeping the floor is another thing. It's a repetitive task that you're sweeping, and all of a sudden, something that you've been thinking about or worrying about, boom, the answer pops in there. Oh man, I how come I didn't think of that before? Because there's always so many things going on in your head that sometimes you just need to do something repetitive to kind of shut off the extra stuff so something else in your mind can kick in and give you the answers that you need. Atmosphere. Sensory experiences play a significant role in trance states and can be incorporated into your prayer life. Even aesthetic practices that minimize sensory stimulation can be powerful. If you're praying at home, you might set the atmosphere with music, incense, or scented candles. These elements can also be presented as offerings or simply as a way to enrich the experience. Just ensure that your intentions are clear. You can close your eyes or focus softly on an object, like an image of the divine, a photograph of an ancestor, or even the flame of a candle. Tools like a crystal ball or a black mirror can also be effective if they feel comfortable for you to use. When focusing, you're going to aim for a relaxed, soft gaze. Back in, I don't know if it was the 80s or 90s, we had these pictures with all these funky shapes and patterns. And if you stared at it just right, all the patterns came together and made a 3D image that just popped out at you. And that's the gaze you want when you're in a trance like state, trying to find the answers that you're looking for. While in a trance, you remain aware of your body as often it becomes a medium for spiritual communication. Many prayers include physical choreography, like kneeling. When the prayer mentions coming before the divine on your knees, you'll have to be on your knees kneeling. It's part of the prayer is to be choreographed. The choreography of what it's telling you to do. You can adapt this choreography to see how it feels, such as putting your hands in gassho or a prayer pose, or lacing your fingers, or placing your hands flat over your chakra, which is what I personally do. I place them over my chest like I'm performing self Reiki on my heart chakra. And this just feels really natural and grounding for me. My personal practice. So this is how I perform my personal practice. It isn't meant to tell you what to do. It's not a blueprint. This is how you have to do it. This is just me telling you how I personally do my practice to give you some ideas if you're new, how maybe to get started. You can make changes and adjust whatever works for you along the way, or pick out things and go, I don't think like the way that sounds, but this sounds pretty cool. Maybe you've been practicing for a while. Like going through this and building this course, I've adjusted my whole practice because I picked up things I forgot about, or things that I may have overlooked the first time because I was new and it didn't make sense. And now that I've been doing it for a couple of years, I'm like, oh, I missed that. This makes sense. I can enhance my practice this way. But during my morning prayers, I follow a ritual process at all my altars. First thing I do when I get up, I make sure I have tea candles set at all my altars. I've updated or anything that is an offering that I'm using. I've put up the fresh water. I've got incense ready. I've got my essential oils all set up, and everything is where it needs to be and ready to go. Then I go to my altar and I greet my ancestors. I have a chime candle that I light. I use it to light the tea candle on the altar, and then I put my chime candle in its little holder. I then place my hands over my chest as if I'm doing self Reiki. And sometimes it will even warm up, even though I'm not actively doing Reiki. They will just warm up on their own as I do my prayers. I give gratitude for things first, and then I say my prayers. I'm usually doing this before breakfast, so offerings are made after breakfast. They're their own ritual, and my morning prayers are a separate ritual. You can do however you want. Maybe you want to do breakfast first, do your offering, and then your ritual, however works for you. But that's something I like to do. I like to start my day with prayer. So I go about doing everything. So I've put all of my altars and people that I'm honoring first, and then I start the day with my breakfast and do that offering before I sit down. I then move to the next altar and I repeat the process on every altar I visit till I get to the last one and I'm finished for the day. And again, these practices are meant to give you inspiration to create your own rituals and personalize your spiritual journey. This course is serving as a starting point for newcomers, and as you grow, you can adapt and expand your practice. I've also had several books I've recommended throughout the course that can provide deeper insights. One may jump out at you. You may be like me in rabbit hole. I'll be reading one and they'll mention several books, and then I'll go look for those books if any of those sound interesting. So this is just a jumping off point to get you started, and then you can go however you went. I started with ancestral veneration, and then I had dreams about certain deities, and I read up about them, and that's how I started working with different deities. Pretty much everything is the same altar by altar. You're just working with someone else. You may want to get booked on whoever appears if you have deities show up at some point. See how best to work with that deity. There's so many of them. I'm not going to get into deities. That is something that, if you have questions, I'll happy to answer them. But that is something that, you can use the same things for, and then just grab the books on those, see what worked best for working with that person. When I started out, I wrote all my prayers down and I read them. And over time, I memorized them, and the experience became more fluid. I printed them all out and I put them in my grimoire. I have a grimoire that I made that's part of my daily. Every month I make a planner. If you're in my portal group, you have it. If not, you want access to it, let me know. And I can show you the link where I put it every month outside of that group. I put them in there, and that was a wonderful way to start my practice. I would open my grimoire and I would read my prayers from it, and it was a wonderful experience. But then I started to memorize them. And as I memorized them, changed the way my practice went. I don't know how to explain it. It was still the same thing, but I was able to be more fluid. And the translate state was able to happen more because I wasn't having to read and be conscious of what I was reading. As you practice, you may even have visions or receive messages during deep prayer. This is perfectly normal, but not required. If it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal. You can enhance your prayer with tools like a rosary or the Tibetan prayer beads, which often have 108 beads that you can count as you pray. These tools may help guide your focus and deepen your connection. Singing. St. Augustine says, "He who sings prays twice." Singing adds depth to prayer, making it a more profound experience. Music is an innate part of being human, but many of us feel self-conscious about singing, even when we're alone. Personally, I sing all the time at home. I do not sing with my prayers, oddly enough. Um, but I will make up little songs all day. Make up little songs for my pets. I sing to them. I might hear a word that triggers a verse to a song, and then I start singing that song. I may have an earworm that's stuck in my head all day. I didn't have internet today, so all day long I'm singing "I'm a bee, I'm a bee" because I saw it on something online. So my brain is constantly in some type of song, and I never thought to incorporate it into my prayer. Maybe I will at some point, but as of right now, it's not something that I practice, but it is an option if that's something that you may feel inclined to do. Singing adds depth to prayer, making it a more profound experience. Music is an innate part of being human, but many of us feel self conscious about singing, even when we're alone. I find I sing all the time at home, but I never thought to do it for prayer. I'll sing little songs to my pets. So I'll hear a word and it triggers me to think of the chorus of a song and I'll start singing it. Or I may have a song stuck in my head for days. So it may be something that I incorporate down the line, but at this time I do not sing my prayers, but it may be something that calls to someone else to do. Just as being vulnerable with a living person deepens your connection to them, allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your ancestors strengthens your emotional and spiritual bond. They're drawing closer to you, and the connection becomes more powerful. So sing and embrace vulnerability. If singing feels daunting, you can ease into it. You can start by taking the words of your prayer or song and reading them aloud in a monotone voice. Focus on clear pronunciation and physical sensations of speaking, the way your tongue moves, the feel of your cheeks, how your mouth interacts with sounds. Once you're comfortable with that, add emotion and playfulness. Treat the prayer like spoken word performance. Experiment with pauses, inflections, shift the tone. Try relevant, sarcastic, or even dramatic tones. Explore the many different emotions or attitudes you can convey using the same words by changing your intonation. I took a course in school where we did writing, and they had poems, and you switch the breaks, and it made the whole poem almost like it meant something different because you changed where the pauses were and it just changed the story. So you can try to do that with your prayers as well to see how that feels. Don't worry about making your prayer sound perfect or the way you think it should sound. This is simply a warm up exercise, not the actual dialogue with your ancestors. If it helps, you can separate the warm up from the real prayer by doing it in a different room or using a small gesture that is the distinction that signal the distinction that this is just you practicing before you actually do it for your ancestors. You can cross your fingers behind your back or tap your lips before and after the warm up, Or you can even just say, "Hey, I'm just practicing this," to your ancestors. Take time to engage with the words and reflect how they affect you emotionally and physically. This makes the practice far more fulfilling than simply reading the words from a page. Once you're ready, try, and there's nothing wrong with reading them from a page, so don't let that make it sound like you shouldn't. It took me a long time to memorize all of mine. Once you're ready, try balancing your practice between speaking and singing. Start with 20% singing and 80% speaking, then gradually increase the singing until it feels natural to express the entire prayer through song. Enjoy exploring your voice. Use vocal warm ups to get comfortable, and remember this isn't about sounding like a professional, it's about treating your voice with care and intention, much like a professional who depends on their voice does, but without the pressure of perfection. And there's a lot of things on YouTube, or you can download apps that helps you learn how to sing, so that may be helpful for you as well. And also, there is another form of healing that does involve your voice and singing, which I will try to find the book of, and I'll let everybody know what that is because it didn't occur to me till I was doing this slide. Many traditions hold space for their ancestors, so there are many traditional prayers for them. In my opinion, anything can become a prayer. You can use affirmations, poems, songs, anything that speaks to you or calls out to you or fits your needs. In this section, I will share what I have used. I pulled several together. I created pages for my grimoire for them to read before I memorize them all. Again, you don't have to use these. You can use these. If you want to use these and you want them for your grimoire, let me know and I'll send you the pages. These are the prayers that I use for my morning rituals. The first one is an affirmation to remind me, one second. The first one is an affirmation to remind me I do not have to control everything. I do not have to chase things. They will come to me when they are meant to. I do not chase, I attract. What is meant for me will simply find me. The second is pretty, but it can be hard to say sometimes, especially if you're having a really bad day. Saying it after one of my pets had passed was really hard, but it was still true. And that day still had meaning for me, even though it was a hard day to say this prayer. I love this day. It is like no other that has ever been before or ever be again. This prayer reminds me again that I'm not always in control and that I may be able to help others without even realizing I am doing so. Please use me in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. May my life be one big moving prayer. This could be something simple as smiling at somebody who needed a smile and you didn't realize it, giving somebody a compliment on their outfit or their hair without realizing maybe they were having a bad day and what you said helped them. It could just be sharing your story with somebody and they realize, "Oh my god, I went through something similar and she got through it, so maybe I can get through it too." These are little things that this prayer can help be a meaning for in something that you are helping others with without realizing it. This prayer is for the simple things in life that we take for granted but are still important to us. I pray this day is full of good food, good music, good dancing, good magic, friendship, good laughter, and good health. Again, this can be changed around. You can change the wordings to anything you need that day. You can change it every day. You can make it shorter, you can make it longer. I found this in the book The Green Witch, which is located on the corner. I thought it was lovely. And when I read it, I thought, "Oh my gosh, I don't have do I have to do this for everyone?" And I got a no, I do not. This is for people that I choose to work with and I choose to heal. I know everybody's all love, light, sunshine, and rainbows and unicorns, but you know what? You do not have to expend energy on people you do not want to. So this is just for the people that you would like to expend the energy on. And this is Lord and Lady, spirits of nature, elements around me. Bless me as I move through the world today. May I bring joy and tranquility to every life I touch. May my actions bring only harmony to the world. May I heal pain and soothe anger. May I create joy and balance as I walk my path. Support me and guide me. This I ask of you as a green witch, and thank you for your many blessings. And then my final prayer is the Lord's Prayer or the Our Father. This is one that you can use because it holds a lot of power. A lot of people who practice all different types of prayer will still use the Lord's Prayer. It can also be used to connect with your ancestors who practiced that religion. And I've had this memorized since either second grade, I think it was, when I did communion. And I have even found that if I'm having a really bad nightmare, I will start reciting the Lord's Prayer in my sleep. That's how embedded it is in my head. And it helps me get through whatever's going on in the dream. And this is Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory of heaven, forever and ever. Amen. This concludes the whole lesson. I hope you enjoyed this course. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. I hope maybe you picked something up along the way that was useful for you, and I will let you know when I have other courses available. I was going to do more, but this got extended. I found so many things that end up becoming really long, but longer than I intended. So I'm going to make extra courses for some of the other things that I was going to try to put in this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, either let me know in comments or you can reach out to me by email, and I will let you know if there's when I have other courses about this. Have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you for letting me be part of your journey, and thank you for taking my course.